And we now know the pilots killed were two young men, according to NTSB officials. Joining us now is 9 News aviation expert Greg Feith. Greg, thank you so much for joining us. What is it going to go into this investigation, right? Like, what are authorities specifically looking for in this instance?
Right now, it's the obvious. It's the communication. It's the controller, the staffing, a variety of issues that are occurring right now and will be examined, have already been examined a year and a half ago in the Washington midair, where you have a single controller working two different frequencies, doing two different things. So they'll be looking at not only communication and miscommunication, they'll look at his performance, they'll look at distractions, fatigue. Fatigue's going to be a big issue because that has been a center of controversy where you've got controllers working 6 days a week, and controllers work, they don't work a normal schedule. They work a morning, a mid, and a night. On a rolling schedule. That really contributes to fatigue. So that's going to be the emphasis of this investigation. And then some of the peripheries will be, could the pilots have seen the fire vehicles starting to approach the runway right after they landed with all the flashing lights? So they'll be looking to see if there were any visual cues that the crew was aware of. That's where the cockpit voice recorder will come in and provide a lot of information.
Greg, I think passengers all across the country are looking at this and saying, how could something like this happen? So I'm wondering, how rare is a crash like this at U.S. airports? And then also, is it unusual for an air traffic controller to be doing those two lines of communication at the same time?
Bill, those are good questions. These are rare events where you have a breach of the runway by a vehicle based on permission that was given to them by a controller. Years ago, I did a DC-9 that crashed, struck a snowplow up in Sioux Falls, South Dakota in a snowstorm because the snowplow didn't clear the runway in a timely manner after the airplane had been cleared to land. And then, of course, in Los Angeles, we had a U.S. Air 737 land on top of a regional type airplane, a twin-engine turboprop, because, again, the controller failed to recognize that she had already cleared an airplane onto the runway. And while these have happened over the last 30, 40 years, they are rare events, but it's all communication. With regard to, the other aspects of this type of event and whether or not we should be fearful, the system, we know, based on a lot of information over the last 3 to 4 years, we know the shortage is there. Staffing is going to be an issue. But again, there is always a backstory. There are other peripheral factors that need to be examined. And right now, with the funding issues that are going on with the FAA, the staffing issues that are going on with the FAA, politics has to be taken out of the equation. We can't afford it. We're seeing it now with all the delays at the airports with TSA. So, I mean, it does have a ripple effect, and unfortunately, it affects all of us. But I travel almost every week. I trust the system. I trust the people in the front end of that aircraft and on the ground controlling that aircraft. But as long as you have humans and machines interacting, we're not infallible, and there's always that possibility.
Yeah, it seems like, I guess in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, I'm on an airplane. There's got to be some sort of like safety precaution already in place, some like braking mechanism that would prevent something like this from happening in the first place. Are there certain like safety protocols that will happen now?
Yeah, Alex, there sure are. And there's what's called ASDX. It's basically ground-based radar. So the controllers up in the tower cab can actually watch the movement of all the vehicles on the tarmac, on the runways, on the taxiways, and even in some isolated areas of the airport. So they can see the ground movement. They can see the relationship between aircraft that are landing or taxiing to these ground vehicles. And the question is going to be, did the controller get the alert that drew his attention? Because typically a controller has to watch, has to observe the movement of the aircraft that they've cleared to land or take off on a runway. And so the question is, why did this controller divert his attention? Well, he was talking to a Frontier Airlines aircraft crew, telling them to hold in their position as he was also clearing the fire truck to cross the runway. Now, Phil asked earlier about whether this is rare or not that you have a controller handling two positions. That is, like in this case, ground control and local control. Typically at night, especially on a Sunday night when traffic arrivals and departures are real low. That is, real quick example, you have 100 aircraft arriving or departing per hour during the middle of the day. That's the biggest saturation. That's the most flights. But then at night, late at night, you have that arrival rate that knocks down to maybe 10 or 20 arrivals and departures. So you don't need as many air traffic control staff. And so they combine these positions. That, again, is going to be a question, especially for LaGuardia, because that is a big saturation area for air traffic.
As always, the investigation is underway, but it's so great to have your knowledge and your expertise walking us through this. Greg Feith, thanks so much.